weekend in what, if you'd asked me a couple of days ago, I would have said it's kind of a must-win game. But now, obviously, it looks like Julian Lopetegui is going to get done over the next week or so. I'm not really that asked about this game. Like, with the whole Steve Davis stuff that's going on, I would have said this is a must-win game, or at least not a must not lose, especially with the Arsenal game. But I think Julian Lopetegui is a good enough manager to where even if we lose these next two games 5-0, I still think we'll stay up, especially if we back him a little bit in January. So it kind of just feels like a warm-up game or something. Like, I'm not really that bothered anymore. Of course, I want us to win, obviously, but I don't really see the point. Like, we know Steve Davis isn't going to be here long term anyway, so I don't really care about what his opinion is on the team, and I don't think it matters if we lose anyway because I think we'll stay up. Like, this season has been an absolute disgrace so far. We barely like scoring. The midfield's not been competent. The defense has been unstable since the Collins red. Yet we're still only 2 points off the relegation zone or getting out the relegation zone. Like, we're not getting relegated unless something mad happens with Lopetegui. Like, and he's automatically a terrible manager all of a sudden. We're not getting relegated, so I don't really feel the pressure. But I hope Steve Davis kind of just experiments with some stuff. Like, for me, this is the lineup I would go with. I don't think Steve Davis will pick this, but this is the lineup I would go with. I think Hugo Bueno. I'm a big fan of Aït-Nouri, and I think he's a better player than Bueno. But ultimately, I think Bueno's earned that spot, and it's been the one big positive of Steve Davis. I didn't watch the Palace game because I was coming back from work and I was on the train. But I mean, I watched some of it, but dodgy internet connection and that. But even when you look at Aït-Nouri, when Aït-Nouri first broke through, he had a really good game against Palace. Then he was terrible against Leicester the week before. People shouldn't underestimate how good a young 20-year-old is coming into the Premier League and playing 3 games and not really, they're all kind of being 7 out of 10 performances, 8 out of 10 performances. That's rare, especially in a young defender who's not even had like a loan spell. And I'm glad he's got a new contract. He's earned that, and he should keep that spot. Even though Aït-Nouri's a better player, and I think Julien will get a lot of that out of Aït-Nouri. I think he has to start. Obviously, Kilman and Collins pick themselves. Semedo, I hope people shut up about Semedo now. Like, when he makes one mistake and people hyper focus on it, he's just the best fullback at the club. He is. Like, I don't know how this is still an argument that people try and have on Twitter. You still get these old Yadars trying to say that Johnny's the best fullback at the club or Bueno is now. Semedo's the best fullback at the club. I don't understand how people try to argue that. Obviously, Neves plays. I like Neves deeper in a 4-3-3. I think it's his best position personally. And look, I know there was a bit of a hate train towards Matthias Nunes after the Brentford game. I didn't really think he was any worse than anyone else. I thought everyone was terrible in that first half against Brentford. It's just that Nunes didn't get a second half to kind of prove himself, whereas everyone else did. People are starting to push this thing about does he care? I don't know. Like, I'm no body language expert. I don't know if he cares or not. But I'd still play him, and I want him on the left. I don't know why I'm not playing him in his position. He's always played off the left of a midfield three. I don't know why I'm playing him as a right or as like a number 10. It's not what he is. Only Wolves could spend £40 million on a guy who plays in a midfield 2 and progresses the ball, and then play him as a number 10. It's so bizarre. Like, playing as a number 10, you need to be tricky and occupy tight spaces. If you're playing deep in a midfield 2, or even in a 3, you pick up the ball, you get more space, and you get to run in and create your own kind of havoc. You know what I mean? Like, it's a completely different position. I don't know what Steve Davis is doing with it. I genuinely find it bizarre. And then with Traoré, I didn't think he was great against Brentford, but I think he does offer physicality. And, Brighton have that in Moises Caicedo and Murdo and these sort of guys, and Pascal Gross. Like, I'd want Traoré in there. I think that's a nice balanced midfield three. I want Traoré and Nunes to be 8s. I don't think that's how it would line up, but I like Traoré. He offers physicality, he presses well, which is something we don't really have in the entire squad outside of Semedo and Aït-Nouri. We don't really have anyone that presses to a particularly good level. I like Traoré. I had something different. He's a bit of a wild card. I want to see us develop him over the next couple of weeks so that when Julian Lopetegui, I think Lopetegui will like Traoré. Genuinely, I do. And then my front three, Percent has to play. I don't care if it's through the middle, out wide. He's our best forward, which isn't really much of a compliment right now, but he's our best forward. And then I think Hwang's earned the spot to play through the middle. I'm not a big fan of Hwang. Like, I remember after the first couple of games I saw him, I remember saying he was crap, and I got a lot of stick for it. And then, a month later, I think people started to realise I was probably right. However, I think that even this season, and I know it's, how many games has it been? I know we're only 13 games into this season, but I still think Hwang's first half performance against Leeds on the opening day is the best number 9 performance we've seen of this season, which again is not really a compliment, but I thought against Leeds on the opening day, he held the ball up well, his touch was good, he made good runs, he got a couple of good shots away, And by the way, he wasn't even fit, was he? He got rushed back. He got taken off after like 50 minutes or something. Hwang's earned a shot. He has. And like he's been patient. He's not been moaning. He's not been like maybe like a certain Guedes. We'll get onto him in a minute. But Hwang's earned his chance. And again, for me, this is kind of a nothing game now with the Lopetegui appointment. So just give Hwang a shot. He's earned it. He's been patient. Give it him. And then with Guedes, this is just me wanting to see Guedes. You know, I don't really want to play him off the left. You know, Guedes' numbers popped last season playing through the middle, and I'd rather him play through the middle. But I kind of want to just see Guedes. Like, we haven't really seen anything of him. You know, people act like he's been terrible and he's been awful and he's been a disgrace. And I saw Nathan Judah go on like a 10-minute rant slagging him off and saying how terrible he is. Guedes has been nowhere. He's been the same as every other Wolves player, just like bang average. However, at least Guedes has got the excuse of he's learning a new language, a new culture, a new city, whatever. I'm not going to scapegoat Guedes like every other Wolves fan seems to right now, because everyone did it with Trincao, everyone did it with Semedo. People just like scapegoat whoever the new signing is, because like Guedes has been put into a very difficult situation, new league, completely different style of league. The manager who bought him has just been sacked, who he had a quite a good relationship with. Now all of a sudden this caretaker manager's come in, he's probably going to drop him. I think it's a hard situation for Guedes, so I'm not going to scapegoat him like everyone else is. I think he's not earned a chance, but I want to see him play. This is just my 11. I know he won't play, but I don't want to. I ideally want him as a second striker, but you know he's a winger at the end of the day. I think Guedes, Pedence, Hwang. I just want to see it, and I'm bored of Adama Traore. Like even at Brentford, people were saying that Adama Traore was good. He was terrible, man. Like if Guedes played the way Adama Traore did every week, he'd have been lynched and shipped out of the country by now. I just want to see. Guedes only played what 400 minutes. Like people writing the guy off. He's played 400 minutes, bro, or like 450 minutes or something. Like, come on. But yeah, again, I think this game's kind of a write-off now. The Lopetegui stuff. I've already done a video on Lopetegui. If you want to watch it, I put it out a few hours ago. I think it's a good appointment. I'm a bit concerned of how Wolves fans will react to it. But yeah, overall, I actually do think we'll get something against Brighton. You know, I think that performance they had against Tottenham, was it 4-1 or something? Yeah, 4-1. I think that I watched that game. They did deserve to win, but I don't think it was particularly like not convincing, but it felt like a one-off with the whole Cucurella Posse thing. I think we will get a point. Genuinely, I do. And then hopefully Julien comes in. We can have a bit of fun with that Arsenal game. Hopefully knock out Leeds and then actually have a good second half of the season. But if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. Go watch the video I did on Lopetegui. And yeah, peace.